And thanks very much, Maurice, for those kind words, and thanks to IMR and CIRCULÉIRE for the invitation to be here today. It's a magnificent facility, one you should all be very, very proud of. Even walking around the area, it's a testament to the work and the innovation that's ongoing here, and the exhibits as well. And if you forgive me for being partial for a moment with my green public procurement hat on, I noticed colleagues from Green IT in the foyer there. They've just established a framework with our Office of Government Procurement for remanufactured laptops, 60,000 remanufactured laptops available to the public service under this framework. Really cutting edge technology, and the circular economy really, a fantastic demonstration of what's possible. It's a pleasure to be with you here today at today's conference, and as I said, just thanks to IMR and CIRCULÉIRE for the invitation to attend. This is a really significant event for everybody involved in showcasing and communicating the circular economy in Ireland. It also represents an opportunity normally to focus on the further steps required to accelerate that transition, leveraging the significant progress that CIRCULÉIRE has made with a key sector in making the business case for the circular economy. However, at the outset, if you'll forgive me, I must point out that my remarks today, and indeed those of colleagues joining me, need to be tempered by the fact that as civil servants during an election campaign, we're in a period of what's known as purdah, when a veil is drawn on making significant policy decisions or funding announcements, and we're required to restrict our remarks very much to existing government policy rather than future iterations. So I just need to get that proviso out in the first instance. We're nearly there, a couple more days, but notwithstanding that fact, those remarks today are given in that context. So instead of necessarily focusing on the future, what we're going to be doing is focusing on some of the key achievements of CIRCULÉIRE, while also looking at some of our own advancements over the last couple of years, and the very significant Circular Gap Report, which was published back in September, which again is providing the evidential base for us to move policy forward in this space. And again, notwithstanding the proviso I just gave, colleagues from the department and myself were really very, very eager to be here today, first and foremost to acknowledge the huge contribution that CIRCULÉIRE has made to support Ireland's ambition to become a testbed for circularity through impact-focused circular innovation, and particularly as it reaches its 5-year milestone. And as I said, as we enter the final weeks of the year, and given where we are in terms of the electoral cycle, I'm going to reflect very briefly on some of the transformative measures that we have taken to drive Ireland's move to a circular economy, particularly over the last 4 or 5 years. And I would hope that we'd all be in agreement here today that we have created a momentum and an enabling environment to move the dial from ambition now to implementation, that we will realise the opportunities that a circular economy affords us to future-proof our country, both environmentally and economically, as well as socially. So in line with the evolution of EU and UN environmental policy, the Waste Action Plan for a Circular Economy was published in September 2020, and the first Circular Economy Strategy and Circular Economy Programme were published in November 21, and in July of 2022, the Circular Economy Act completed its passage through the Oireachtas. And as I said, over the last couple of years, we've put in place the necessary policy and regulatory framework required for a successful circular transition. The National Waste Management Plan for a Circular Economy, which was published earlier this year, further enhances this framework by setting out the specific targets and actions which need to be taken over the period to 2030 to achieve this transition. Now that the policy and regulatory framework is in place, we intend to really build on that momentum. The Circular Economy Fund, as we know, which has supported CIRCULÉIRE, was established in July 2023, signaling a clear commitment to further integration of circular economy principles and practice. And we've taken very significant steps to drive the necessary improvements in our waste segregation practices, which will form a major part of our efforts to meet forthcoming EU waste recycling targets. These include incentivised charging at the commercial sector, the rollout of a national biowaste collection service, levies that will encourage more segregation, recycling and reuse, the new Green Public Procurement Strategy and Action Plan, and the induction of Ireland's Deposit and Return Scheme. And at the outset of this journey, where all of these measures have emanated from in 2020 to accelerate the introduction of circular economy principles across our society and economy, and in recognition of the need to support its transition and catalyse circular implementation, CIRCULÉIRE was founded, as Mara said, with some 25 members. Now in its 5th year, CIRCULÉIRE have developed an expansive network comprised of over 50 industry actors, from startups to micro-enterprises, SMEs and MNCs from across food and drinks, biopharma, chem, built environment, packaging, plastics, electronics and batteries, textiles, second life enablers and financial services, all of which are key sectors in their own right in our economy itself and in the circular economy ecosystem that we are trying to shape. And what we have here are major companies making investment decisions on the basis that the future of business is circular, and their transition can be accelerated through the range of circularity business supports that have been expertly developed by CIRCULÉIRE. And this is one of the primary reasons why CIRCULÉIRE remains such a key strategic partner for the Department of the Environment, Climate and Communications. They have a reach which extends beyond normal circular economy programmes, impacting the practices both on the floor and in the boardrooms of their members, adding value while reducing costs through the range of circularity business support it offers, including their Circularity Maturity Toolkit, customised circular economy action plan development. They've co-designed and delivered multi-sector, multi-stakeholder thematic working groups in collaboration with national and international experts, tackling topics of strategic importance to the department and to the economy in terms of packaging, plastics, procurement, as well as topics as diverse as industrial symbiosis and the bioeconomy. And this engagement has enabled them to deliver on their core objective to demystify, de-risk and deliver circular innovation, which is critical to mainstreaming circular thinking across industry. And as I mentioned earlier, the importance of this has been brought into stark light with the publication in September of our first Circularity Gap report, which provides a comprehensive and detailed analysis of our national material flows and level of circularity based on a methodology that allows for international comparisons of performance relative to peer countries. This enables us to better understand the levers for change and move into a circular economy and the benefits that these levers could bring based on solid analysis. It allows us to size, for the first time, Ireland's circularity gap, to understand further how raw materials are processed and assembled to become the products that address the country's needs. Understanding what happens at end of use sheds light on the accumulation of materials and products, goods, and the built environment around us. Furthermore, it reveals the extent to which we are recycling resources back into the economy, enabling us to identify where different sectors and supply chains should focus their strategies going forward in order to deliver the biggest results in terms of reducing environmental impacts and increasing secondary material use, ultimately narrowing our gap. So for the first time, we've measured Ireland's circularity gap. The report sets out the key interventions that would deliver the most significant results in terms of reducing environmental impacts and increasing secondary material use, and sets how the circular transition will impact the labour market and examines jobs and skills as levers for change. The report underscores what CIRCULÉIRE has continued to highlight to its network, that the circular economy has transformative potential for Ireland. Our continued growth, both in terms of GDP and population, has come at a material cost, with the need to provide new housing and infrastructure, along with more food, services and manufactured goods. In that context, our material use continues to grow in a manner which is incompatible with our circular economy and climate goals. Reversing this trend is a necessity. By embracing circular economy strategies across key sectors, we can ensure that the needs of our people are being met while our environment is preserved. Shifting away from the linear take, make, waste paradigm can also facilitate resilience to the geopolitical shocks the world has encountered over the last number of years, fostering stability within Ireland and strengthening our economy as a consequence. But the challenge we face is commensurate with the potential returns. The Circularity Gap report indicates our circularity metric stands at 2.7%, meaning that over 90% of the materials flowing through our economy come from virgin sources. There is also a growing appreciation that material use and carbon emissions are tightly coupled, with a few sectors contributing the most to both. This is why it's so crucial to build upon the successful measures and accompanying sectorial targets under the climate action plans, which are beginning to drive down our emissions. It's critical that we follow along this path and continue to apply circular interventions along with our other greenhouse gas emissions reductions and diversification actions. The GAP report highlights key sectors and associated scenarios, includes a range of recommendations which individually have a limited impact, but combined have transformative impact potential. Our material footprint could be reduced by 29%, our associated carbon footprint cut by 32%, while our circularity metric could actually treble. But this actually must represent the floor, not the ambition of not the ceiling of our ambitions. The progress made by CIRCULÉIRE since 2020 demonstrates what is possible once we create the enabling conditions to bring everyone with us when circular economy policy interventions are appropriately introduced. We've made significant progress then in the past number of years, but we must continue to harness that momentum if we are to effect real change. The key catalyst for that change will be the next circular economy strategy, informed by the insights provided by the GAP report. This will be an action-orientated, target-driven strategy prepared under a statutory basis and will become the driving force for Ireland's move to a circular economy over the next 3 years. Like CIRCULÉIRE has done repeatedly, it will make the business case for the circular economy, setting a holistic vision, supporting practices such as eco-design, repair, reuse and manufacturing. It will provide for incentives that will create a level playing field for circular economy actors, practices and products, and leverage public procurement to create a market for circular products and practices. It will stimulate investment in climate-resilient infrastructure by focusing on measures that will enhance our capacity to transform waste into secondary materials and seek to create a culture of circular behaviour through demonstration products, community initiatives and awareness campaigns. It will be the mechanism through which Ireland's ambition to be an EU and global leader in the transition to a circular economy will be implemented, and the Department looks forward to working with you all in delivering this environmental, economic, social and circular transformation. We also look forward to continuing our partnership with CIRCULÉIRE. I spoke earlier about the reach of CIRCULÉIRE and engaging with organisations at all levels in making the transition to the circular economy. The role that CIRCULÉIRE provides in facilitating dialogue to bridge the perceived gap between policymakers and industry is critical in informing our thinking as a department and will be leveraged in completing the strategy. As members of CIRCULÉIRE, I can assure you that your voices are being heard through Geraldine and her team, through their active and effective participation in national policy platforms and forums, and their ongoing access to decision makers as credible voices for industry concerns or priorities. For any prospective members that might be in the room today, I certainly encourage you to join what has really become a fantastic, thriving ecosystem that is really driving the transformation required here for a circular economy. Thank you.